Just tell me. I can handle it.
Sure, we'll catch you next one.
Be able to push and flop it.
All right, good evening, everyone. We'll call the January 2025 meeting of the planning board to order, and Holly, call the roll, please.
Chairman Mayhood,
Here.
Mr. Craig,
Here.
Ms. Nestor is excused, Mr. Winterman,
Here.
Mr. Throat,
Here.
Mr. Ruthie,
Here.
Ms. Janikowski.
Here.
Thank you. You stand and salute the flag with us, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, welcome. We have people interested in all of the applications tonight, as well as the applicants themselves. So we have several things to cover. First thing we do, however, is there's an opportunity for a privilege of the floor. Is there anyone that would like to have a say at this point of anything that's not already on our agenda? Okay, thank you. The agenda says public hearing. We'll delay that public hearing until we get to the review of the Hatchin site plan. That's when we'll open that public hearing. So we'll go to the approval of the minutes from the December 16th meeting. Ollie included them in the packet. It's held out, passed out.
Make a motion, we accept the minute.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Rich. And is there any discussion on them? They were perfect as far as I saw, Holly.
Kind of not friends.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Good job. So we have some reports to go through here, a little bit of administrative things. I attended the January 13th town board meeting. Not a whole lot of things were brought up there. A lot of the administrative items for going into 2025, you know, identifying the bank and all of the systems, renewing those contracts. They did approve the mileage rate this year to be 70 cents per mile. So if you're traveling, training or business in the town, you can claim 70 cents per mile. Not to this meeting. Yeah, but if you're going to training or other meetings and you're putting in a voucher for pay, you can get 70 cents a mile. The rest of the organizational stuff was very routine. They did not approve the fee schedule. Our CEO is still working on some updates on that. So that'll be done at the next meeting. That's fees for permits and applications, etc. Highway Department reported that they've had 34 plowing trips since the last town board meeting, which would have been in December. Otherwise, they've been doing truck maintenance. They've had a few problems with the two new trucks they have, the F550 and the F250. All of that work has been done on warranty. They did, the town was awarded 2 grants, one for $15,000 for the plow blades. Remember, they're using this new plow blade design, which they like very much. So they got a grant for $15,000 for that. And there's another grant of $80,000, but I did not write down what it was for, so I can't tell you. Look for the minutes for the town board on what that was, but those were specifically for the highway department. The superintendent did mention that there's a possible salt shortage, and it may actually affect our town and some of the other towns, and they're going to limit how much salt is going to be able to be purchased until they change that. So he did say that they might not be able to do quite as much salting on the local roads next couple of months due to that potential shortage. He said he had enough salt on hand for about 3 weeks. That was 13th. Yes.
Not just here, good thing.
Son's telling me the same one.
Yeah, so. He said, so if the roads are a little snowy, don't complain.
Did they say why there was a shortage?
He did not.
They're having to ship salt down south. Because of the snow and storm.
Is that what it was?
Down there, which
That
they
makes
normally don't.
sense.
So they're diverting it down there.
Uh-huh.
Not as.
They figure we can handle it. We can handle the snow better than they
They're
can.
trying to allocate enough to go around, so.
Okay.
used to buy it at Asco. The farm there. Or
That's one of the biggest salt things around, yeah, they're sending down south though. There's allocations to the towns to begin with that they're allocated every year.
Right,
That they have to put in for an allocation, but they might not even be able to fulfill those things
Okay.
because they've been.
from that place.
Yeah.
From the high down. Makes sense.
okay. Honeyway Lake Watershed Task Force, they reported the lake iced in on January 8th, and as of the 13th, the ice cover was about 3.5 to 4 inches. I don't know where they measured that, the shore or somewhere out in the center, but and it's been filled with ice fishermen. If you've been down there, you can see that. So this is interesting, the ice has covered the lake, but Richmond, the town of Richmond has been removing shale from the outlet. Lake level is dropping as expected, but it's dropping the ice layer too, so it's causing some cracks and things in the ice. So one good thing, but one not so good thing. So they're continuing to remove shale from the outlet, and they want to get the lake level down below the weir at the outlet. And then as of the 13th, it was still above it. There was some discussion. Jersey Hill Road has been under discussion, needing repair. It's eroding severely and is potentially a hazard. And so they had contracted an engineering firm to put in a plan. And they did submit a plan, and the town board members had reviewed it. It involves a lot of shoring up and concrete, et cetera. But one of the council members suggested that maybe we shouldn't look into moving the road to the south and avoiding all of that. So it kind of put a halt on. They didn't make any votes. They didn't take a vote on awarding the engineering contracts because they're going to backtrack a little bit. And there was discussion that that's been talked about in the past, actually, et cetera. So that whole project is on hold as of the moment. That was kind of interesting. And that was it. What I did not see on here on the agenda was the update to the town code regarding sewer, chapter 82 sewers. I brought it up as the privilege of the floor. And they said, well, we'll look at it. I said, look, you told me that last month. And so I pretty much forced them, they're going to hold a public hearing at the next town board meeting to get that process started. And so that will be the first step. So hopefully we'll get that in and moved along so that we can get those updates. And that was pretty much it. Questions? Anyone is, those town board meetings are open to anybody that wants to come, 7 o'clock, second Monday nights of every month. County Planning Board? Rich?
Yeah, I attended the CRC on the 7th and the planning board meeting on the 8th, and nothing of interest to the town, not even that much of interest to anybody.
Okay,
It was quiet.
all right, good. Thank you. Questions for Birch? All right. Zoning Board. The zoning board met. They did award one area variance. It was actually for the Mr. and Mrs. Patchen, whose site plan we're going to look at later. So we'll get the details of that when we do that site plan review. And comprehensive plan, anything you want to share with us?
We met in January. We finished reviewing the existing plan. We're working on a red line version, as well as planning for the public engagement meeting. And the survey has closed. I don't have a final survey number yet.
All right, good.
I have, one comment on the code enforcement report.
Oh, I skipped over that. Oh,
You
okay.
know, the old report gave us a name, the new report just gives an address, you know, if
Yep.
the name could be included.
It will be. I brought that up at the
Okay.
meeting. And I
Thank you.
said, you know, I know you're working with a new format, but we really should have names associated with these, not just addresses. And Joe Miller, the code enforcement officer, said that should be easy to get the names added to the report. So instead of just the property addresses, we'll get owners' names as well.
Thank you.
Sorry, I skipped that. He did give us a monthly report. He'll start putting 2025 data on it next month. If you do have any questions on that, talk to Joe Miller directly, the CEO. Well, this one has two systems. Stuff up at the top is the old bookkeeping system. The stuff at the bottom is the new bookkeeping system. And so the new system is what's going to be in use.
Flip it over, Steve.
See the stuff at the bottom? So those are all new building permits have been issued in December. But there are no names. So that's what, so once they work it out, it will be a single report. It will have everything that everyone's interested in. And I'm sorry, were you done?
Mhm.
Caitlin?
I
Okay.
was, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now we'll go into the old business. The first old business is the site plan application for Jerry Young, Jerry Scare. I included in your packet a copy of the original application, just so you're reminded. So it was November 7th, he submitted his application. We reviewed it at our November meeting, and we gave a preliminary approval. And some of the things that were needed on the final site map were listed and mentioned. And in the meantime, Jerry had Bill Grove prepare site plan. He didn't have one at the time. He just had a rough drawing of the property. And so the things I included in here, actual drawings and some data from Bill Grove, who was the engineer that prepared this. If you look at the site plan, you'll notice a couple of things. The one big issue that was brought up was the stormwater management. So the solution to that is they're going to install what's called a leaching chamber. And you see it on the site plan map. It's this little circular thing in front of the pole barn, to the east of the pole barn. The gutters are going to drain to that, and then that's a leaching system. And the detail of the leaching system is the next page, if you're interested in that. Okay, so it's going to collect the water and then it will leach into the ground. So it's not going to be a point source of water, and it's going to mitigate any potential erosion or flooding. Joe Miller, our CEO, signed off on this. So that's the stormwater management system that's been proposed. In addition, he's proposing a new location for the driveway to access the pole barn. Previously, it was going to be directly off Pickerel Point Road. Now he's going to, well, it's still on Pickerel Point Road. It's going to be off the south end. Okay, so instead of Pickerel Point Road goes this way back up to 36. He was going to have the access down here. Now he's moving it up to here. So that's the other potential. That's the other change on the site map. Excuse me. He also included the easements that were asked for. I think he showed the water and sewer lines. And I think that was every one of the concerns that were brought up during the initial review and seeker. So does anybody have any questions or?
I just have one. Remind me again, is there gonna be any power and water going to this structure?
Not initially. If I have to do that, I gotta come back and get a
Okay,
permit anyways.
okay,
In the future, I might. That would be the plan. Right now, there's nothing. I'm just putting the building up.
okay.
Okay. The other thing is the property combining of the two properties. We did the re-subdivision, that's what that's called. That has been done. So now it's a single lot instead of two individual lots. And the last thing. That was the last thing. So is there, are there any other questions or concerns about this? So we had approved the application with the request for those changes to be made and shown on the site plan. And again, Bill Grove prepared this for Jerry. Any questions? Yes,
Probably.
turn your mic on there, would you, Steve? No, yeah, there you go.
I would imagine the driveway was reconfigured because of the new leaching chamber to be installed, correct?
That's all new.
Yeah,
There was no leaching chamber. That 1,000-gallon thing was, I have to put that on there as part of the plans.
right. Oh, because originally I thought Ted said it was going out directly,
Yeah, originally he was gonna access it from that
Right,
section.
but because of the new leaching chamber that they came up with. I'm just curious.
That's what the engineer came.
Right,
up
no, right, yeah.
with. I mean, he didn't ask me.
And if you're a mathematician, he gave you all of the calculations of what how they calculated the details on the leaching chamber. I don't understand it, but Bill signed
I
it.
checked it over, it looked fine.
Did you?
And Janicki's are in there and they wanna speak.
Okay, just a moment.
Okay, but I don't know if it's their mic or a mic here that's gotta be turned
Well,
on.
It's not a public
Okay,
hearing.
yeah, it's not, this is not a public hearing. Do you have a comment? This is not a public hearing.
Yes, I wanted to understand the regrading that was done has raised the property closest to my garage and how that was going to address the additional water coming towards my garage.
Okay, this was addressed at the public hearing. This is not a public hearing, sir. The plan has been drawn. The grading and the landscaping has been prepared by the engineer. And it's been approved by our CEO. So this is not a public hearing. You can see the plan if you want. I mean, it's been available.
They're down south.
I understand.
You know,
Well,
I mean,
that's not
just-
my problem.
I know, Ted, but just, because they had concerns to maybe elaborate a little bit more on how their drainage and stuff is going to work so that they understand.
The drainage,
impact
okay,
on
the
their property.
drainage is going to come off the pole barn. It's going to be piped to the leaching chamber. Period. That's it.
So my question is not about the drainage coming off the roof of the barn. My question is in regards to the regrading of the land that forces more water towards my garage. It has nothing to do with the roof. It's the regrading. He has raised his property higher than mine, which is going to force water toward the garage. And it's going to swamp out my garage.
We need to take that up with the code enforcement.
Yeah, that would be a code enforcement issue. The code enforcement officer reviewed the site plan, including the leaching pit, the grading, the location of the driveway, and he signed off on it. So I would have to refer you to him. We would have to go with his okay of this site plan. So Joe Miller, he's available by telephone or email.
Yep. Yep.
I'd have to refer you to him, sir.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Anything else? Okay, so it looks to me like all of our issues have been addressed in the site plan. And so We've already had the public hearing, so all we have to do at this point is to, well, I didn't open, we should have by motion opened the final review. I'm sorry I didn't do that. Let's backtrack and do that by motion to open the
I'll make
final
a motion,
review.
we open.
A
final
motion,
review.
is there a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we've done all of that. So at this point, I guess I would entertain a motion to grant final approval to the site plan. Mr. Jerry Young at 5953 Pickerel Point.
I'd just like to make one comment.
Yes.
I want to thank Mr. Young for addressing the water that's going to be shed off the pole barn by going with this leaching chamber. And I
Mhm.
think it's above and beyond what he might have been required to do, but it's been done. And
It's a,
so thank you for that.
yes, certainly.
I can agree with you. I think it is above and beyond. I mean, it's gonna cost a lot of money to
Yeah.
do that, and
But it should actually help
it
the
should,
neighborhood.
it should.
And we all understand that stormwater management is an issue. Especially
especially in
close,
that area.
close proximity to other properties. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept final approval.
I'll second.
Any additional comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carried. So I will let Joe Miller know that it's been approved. He already has a copy of these plans, which he's approved. And then he'll be able to give you a building permit. Okay,
Very much.
you're welcome. Thank you for,
I know the next hearing's gonna be exciting, but I'm gonna probably get on the road.
all right.
You're on your own.
Okay. Yeah, we should. Chris, what was the name of the people that were attending by Zoom? So she.
Audrey and Jim Janicki.
Okay, that would have been on the
Yeah, they were here.
November meeting as well.
I think it was JANICKI.
Yeah.
I believe is when they logged on. I saw that. Did you get that last name, Holly?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay, next on the agenda is another old business. We have FLCC Foundation applying for site plan approval for the expansion and upgrade at the Muller Station. So Mel is the engineer and I asked him to bring one copy of the main site plan so we can look at it here. Kind of one on each table. This is inside that packet, but I didn't want to, I'd have to try to look through the packet. And so what I'm going to do is open, by motion, we'll open the final review of this application.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Birch motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
White,
Stop.
heard him first. Okay. I just want to write myself a note about, let's see. Reading. Okay. So, since we met last time, you recall, we had stopped our review process and submitted the application to the Ontario County Planning Board. They reviewed the application and the maps, and they gave us some feedback. I included in the packet, I sent you all of the comments from the Ontario County Planning Board. And basically they sent this back to us without approving it. So they didn't approve it or deny it. So we're okay to move ahead. However, they had several suggestions. And so on the letter that I sent to you, it was not only the report from the county planning board, but the Stantec, the engineering department, their responses to each one of them. So Mel Farmer, the engineer, site engineer, is going to talk through us very quickly about each one of these issues that the county planning board had raised and what the action has been. So Mel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. So, OCWD or OCSWD came back with, a bunch of comments. They're all great comments as usual. I'll go through them very quickly.
Yeah.
We essentially, revised the plans accordingly for pretty much every single one. So, the first one was the, fertilizer question. And, just like they had said, it'll be incorporated based on whatever the test result recommendations are for the existing topsoils. Any amendments that are going to be required to follow that. Okay. For clarity on the plans, the check dams, those are just really a cell that we use in CAD, and we just literally flip them the other way. That's all. Just for clarity, there's actually a check dam detail in the detail set that it's not curved. We just show it there just so the contractor can see it. That's why it looks really big, even though in the field they're not quite that big. We just want to make sure the contractor sees it. So we went overboard with it, and I did talk to our CAD folks, and they're going to change it in our system. It's
Okay.
We did show locations of the topsoil stockpile on the plans.
Yeah, where was that, just for my,
That's going to be on the,
oh, a different page?
yeah, it'll be on the.
That's okay. Just in general, is
In
it,
general, yeah.
just,
Yeah, it's, we've got stockpile over here, essentially. This is where most of the grading is going to be happening, so we've got topsoil over here.
Okay.
in this area.
Alright.
Location of the
Thanks.
concrete truck washout, we did update that as well. And that's essentially going to be over, over in this area, over by where the addition's going. And we do have, which once again is typical detail on the plan. And on downstream side of it, we've got double roll silt fence too.
okay,
Detail for drop inlet protection, we did add the drop inlet detail. Detail sheet, it's for this inlet right here, on the corner, right there, it's a storm sewer inlet manhole, so that's really the only one.
okay.
Okay.
That's what that is, a manual.
They want to see stone apron at the end of the dry swell. So we've got the proposed dry swell over here, which is stormwater management feature. And then there's going to be a little bit of riprap on the end of the pipe to attenuate the,
Okay,
to make sure it doesn't move all the way. Silt fence along the pond edge should be contiguous overlapping ends if necessary. We showed it originally the way that we did with a break in it because there is a pipe going to a proposed pipe. So it will be, but I did change it on the plan so it's continuous. And then when they go to put the pipe in, they'll have to cut silt fence, put the pipe in, and then put silt fence back.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Signage along the silt fence on wetland boundary. This one, it's, to us, it was a little counterintuitive. It's a Mueller field station. It's environmental. They have educational kiosks everywhere. We just didn't want to add another sign in front of it for visual, obviously.
Yeah.
Visual and physical impacts.
If anybody has any questions as we go along here, just pipe in, okay?
Okay.
The existing septic tank is a 1,500 gallon tank, and make sure to put that on there.
Oh, it's,
I'm sorry. It's existing 1,250.
okay,
I read the wrong line. Sorry.
all right,
The existing drop boxes. So as part of the DEC review, when we submitted for the wetland buffer permit, one of the things they asked us to analyze is the location, physical location of the expansion area. We proposed it in that location because that was the approved location on the last septic design approval. But since then, obviously, which was about 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. So since that time, obviously, we have a wetland delineation done, and then we've got a buffer, which puts the previously approved leach field in the buffer. So that's why we kept it there, but the DEC said, hey, can we take another look at it? And we did. And we literally shifted it out of the buffer a little bit further south. It's really going to be in between the existing leach field and the turnaround right now. And it's not impacting the buffer at all, so we completely pulled that right out.
good,
And to answer question number 10, we're not going to have to use the existing drop boxes at all. So we're not touching that existing leach field whatsoever. So the number 11, so what we've done is we're leaving the existing leach field where it is. The barn and the lab will continue to flow to it.
Okay.
And it's actually gonna be downstream of where the new leach field is. So essentially, we've got 2 separate leach fields for the entire site. Both will work in tandem. And we're giving another essentially 750 gallons a day allowable into the proposed septic, which mitigates all of the increase to the building addition. So they're gonna continue to work in tandem, just like they are now.
So the primary feed will be different, but the leaching system itself is connected.
The primary feed stays the same.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're putting in a flow splitter on that system. So
it can go to either.
It'll go to either one.
That was my question. Thank you.
Number 12, maintenance issue, new leach field areas mowed and maintained. Obviously, FLCC maintains the grounds right now, so that was a great comment though. Enhanced the ETU, the enhanced treatment unit, be pumped, cleaned and serviced regularly. They have a system in place that does periodical and as needed maintenance. So that's how we answered that one. Number 14, a very common comment that we get. That's obviously noted and agreed. I mean, that's typical. Once again, a great comment though. And then the existing and draft floodplain extent should be shown in the site plan. So I know that you folks know that the floodplains have been changed a little bit. So we do show on the plans the existing, the old floodplain limit. And then the new floodplain limit, I pulled them off the internet and put them on there as well. So both of them are on there with no impacts.
All right. Excellent.
That's all the Ontario County and the CRC comments.
Mhm.
I don't think there's anything else to be changed in the plans. I don't think there really was. Oh, for the dry swale, we did change the grading a little bit on that. Once again, deal with a DEC comment. We're trying to limit as much disturbance within the wetland buffer as we can. So on the downside, the downslope of the dry swale here, we had it a 4-on-1 slope. We revised it to a 2-on-1. We're going to roll the erosion control blanket on the 2-on-1 to make sure that it doesn't erode away. So what that did, it drew in the total slope closer to the dry swale, which once again limited the amount of total disturbance. So we actually have less disturbance.
Less disturbance. Okay.
That's essentially the updates to the plan.
All
Any
right.
questions? You have any answer?
For my list here. Any questions of anyone? From anyone? That's my notes. Here it is. Go ahead.
Excuse me.
Yes,
Back in November, we granted preliminary, correct?
yes.
Okay.
So we basically, we looked at the plan, we said everything looked good. And these were issues that were raised by the planning.
I thought we
board.
went that far.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
clarifying.
So we have nothing else to do other than have a motion to grant final approval to the site.
Just one more thing I forgot.
Sure.
When you're considering final site plan approval, one of the things that we'd like is to put a condition on it that we obviously get the freshwater development permit for the EPC. So the final site plan
yes,
approval conditioned
okay.
upon receipt of the wetland buffer permit.
So the wetland buff. Yeah. And the probability of getting that is,
We had a second round of comments, but they were very, very minor. They want like the GPS location of the plan and just a couple other minor things they want to know the updated amount of disturbance area, which went from about 8,800 down to like 8,100 in the wetland buffer. So that was it.
okay.
And they want the application of D now, which is a very good sign.
Oh, good. Okay, so it's, yeah, conditioned upon receipt.
Freshwater wetland permit.
Freshwater.
You wanna give that?
Yep. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have a motion.
Ted?
Oh, you have more
Yeah,
questions?
just-
Well, let's motion in a second, then we'll.
Well, I was trying to get before the motion came out, okay? I was trying to get a question before the motion, so. Dwight was a little.
Go ahead.
All I wanted to know, when we did the preliminary,
Yes,
there wasn't anything specific that we had identified that we're waiting that hasn't been answered so far.
no, we didn't have any
Okay,
questions.
that's all I wanted to know.
All from the Imperial County and the
Because I-
wetland.
So I didn't go back to my paperwork to see, but I 'cause I
No.
knew you would bring it up, but I
No
was just asking.
condition, no
questions.
conditions on that.
Thank you.
That is Steve, that done, you're done now.
Now, now you're on, Dwight.
Make the motion, I just made
Which was?
the FLCC, application.
Okay, the motion should say you grant final approval with the condition that FLCC receives the freshwater wetland permit from the DEC.
That's what I did now.
That's what you did, right? Okay, is there a second?
I will second.
Caitlin, any other discussion? I mean. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll send you a letter.
Okay,
Is that it? That
when do you sign the site plan?
I will sign whichever one you want. We'll keep, you know,
You want to sign that? one?
I'll sign this one.
That'll be great.
And then we have, and then I'll sign the one that's in our packet
Okay.
that we'll keep in our file.
Fantastic.
Okay.
That'd be great, thank you.
All right. Do that right now.
Don't you usually do a Mylar one too?
No, that's not a subdivision. No, this is just, I'm signing it so that they'll have it here and then we won't even have to send them a letter and then we'll keep it in our records. So, who by resolution? Let's see. Yes. Yes.
And Birch, the only reason we had to wait tonight for the final was probably to wait for county to review this.
Yeah, we kind of reviewed it in, December.
Yeah,
Was it?
right. They reviewed it in December. That's what all these things were that we were just reviewing.
Yeah, no, I wonder, because we did the preliminary, I think, in
I was
November.
wondering why we waited on final.
Yeah,
Well, it had
Oh.
to go to the, it had to go to the county.
because it wasn't submitted yet.
Right.
Right.
We got it to the county as soon as we could for their review,
Right.
planning board for their review. And
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you do have lots of other detailed information in the packet if you're got an engineering mind and want to see the other details.
Yeah.
It's all in there, including,
Thanks, Jim.
thank you, folks. Okay,
Be a nice addition to the facility.
well, you heard what they were saying, the instructors will have a place to sleep. You know,
Yeah.
have to sleep at
Yeah.
their desk and the students will not have to sleep on the floor
Absolutely.
there
Yeah,
with bunkhouse.
yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move to new business, and the new business is the site plan application of Jody Patchen for property at 5691 Sunset Drive. And Jody and his wife are here tonight. So we're going to, first thing we're gonna do is open the public hearing
I'll
on
make a
this.
motion to open the public hearing.
Okay, Caitlin, is there a second?
I'll second.
White, all right, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye, opposed, okay. And now we also need a motion to open the preliminary review.
Make the motion.
Okay, White, and a second on that one?
I'll second.
Second one.
Steve
You got it.
Grote, second that one. All right, so now we're legal, we can start the review. So I've included the application, just pop through it here. The application is that they want to build. First, they're in the Honeywell Lake Shore District, so Sunset Drive is right at the bottom of Jersey Hill. Go back in there and to the left. And they want to construct a pole barn for storage. There'll be no utilities, no power, no water. Okay. The storage building, it's the dimensions are on the site plan. 1,680 square feet, 17 feet high. So that fits the zoning in terms of dimensions. The proposal, however, was not compliant with the zoning code in terms of side setback. Side setback is 10 feet in that district. They had originally asked the zoning board for a variance of 5 feet, and the zoning board gave them a variance of 8 feet. So they did.
They gave them 8.
They gave them 8 because 7 feet.
It's the
Joe,
overhang.
7 feet is the building corner, the edge of the building, the extra foot is the overhang. So they gave them an 8
The
foot.
footprint of the building is it's 8 foot from the sideline and the overhang is at 7.
I understand.
Other
From
way
the side,
around.
yeah, from the side.
Oh, yeah,
The
7,
footprint of
yes,
the
go
building,
ahead, subtracted, right.
Right.
So,
Split the difference.
so that was the first issue, so they did receive the variance, okay, on the placement of the building. And
Question on the variance. Did we get a letter?
we didn't get a letter, but we got the notification of the planning of the zoning board action.
Because I think in the past we've had.
Right, and I've asked them to either give us a letter or there's a form that we have, it's called a planning and zoning decision form. We have to give them one when we do anything on a site plan.
You really don't get much of a response, so don't you, from?
Well, we're getting it now. I mean, because
Finally.
in the past, it's pretty much been word of mouth, you know, the chairman would say, yep, we gave him a variance and we didn't know what it was.
Right.
But in this case, they did give us that decision stating that they gave the variance. Okay. I could dig it out here somewhere.
No, I just want to make.
Yes, but we did,
It's not your
trying
something.
to encourage them to do that in the sake of communications. Okay, so that was the first issue.
They do not post their minutes.
No, I noticed that. They do have the video recording,
Yep.
but they're not doing minutes. They haven't put any minutes out for
Months.
several months. And they had a second agenda item.
Yeah, well, we approve them, I don't know why or who's.
You are-
supposed to
you are-
post them.
okay.
Oh, yeah. We've got minutes that are approved and they're on file with Eileen. I mean, Eileen gets them, so.
But they're not being.
They're not being
on
posted to the website. Ours, town board it is, ours are, but the zoning boards aren't showing up there.
Well, I don't know if something has with the length of them because sometimes they're 20, 30
I'm
pages
under-
long.
But they have in the past, they have in the past,
Okay.
even though they've been very
I don't know,
long,
I'll
detailed.
ask and find out.
Yeah,
so.
if you could, thank you,
Yep,
Chris.
Because that's open meeting law.
Yeah, actually, it's required.
definitely in the clerk's office now, so.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the application to construct the building. The building dimensions are okay. And so we look at the site plan here. I also have some photographs that they gave us. And I gave you, I have colored ones you can't see, but and I gave you the location of the site on the tax map to show you where property is. And it's highlighted in white on this. So they actually have their residences across the road within that white district. So that's what it is. So, yes.
So what would the building be approximately around this area?
Well, you look at the site plan, very detailed. So in there, you should have this site plan. Steve.
Right,
Okay, so
773 foot then from, Or would that be from Sunset Drive back to the front of the,
It's from
Closed door.
Sunset Drive.
okay,
Well, wait, let's see. Yes, it's from Sunset Drive back to
Okay.
the building. You
okay.
can see that there. So it's well back, and he has other buildings there. He has a garage up closer to
Yeah.
the road and an existing shed. Um,
And-
showing a driveway, I think Jody, you mentioned you weren't actually going to put a driveway in. Um, and the picture shows that this is just a grassy area. Okay, where the building is going to
And then the
go.
front of the lot, is that like 47 foot also? Is that like a exact? Cause I assume the back of the lot is what, 47 foot wide? What was it I'm just trying to see the building and 10 foot and 7 foot. We had to have 7 foot. To the proper,
Those are
to the
the-
side
those are-
setback, so does that come out to 47 foot for the width of the back lot?
Actually 49, well. It's 49 because the berm's 30, yeah, the 1 foot overhangs, that's 32.
It's 30,
Plus the 7.
47.
10.
The building is 30,
Right?
7 feet on one side and 10 on the other.
That's, I mean, so the
Yeah.
property lines on the back are like 47 wide, right?
It's actually
And-
49.
49.
And down there, they need at least 50 foot, so was the variance for the building as a whole within
The
the,
variance was for the placement of the building
okay,
relative to that side setback. Yeah,
Cause it meets the other side setback.
Yeah. Right.
yeah, okay, and that's all right, I was just trying to get to the lot itself is not 50 foot wide, it was 40 something, and that's why we had to go for the variance.
That's why he,
The
No,
variance
the-
had to go because he wanted it 5 foot from the property line. And then we changed it to technically 7 foot, but the footprint of the building is 8 foot now.
Yeah. so it's a 50-foot, the width on Encore is 50 feet.
I just wanted, and I'm trying to read this darn thing, and I'm not disputing that. I was just trying to come up with the numbers off this. And I was trying to identify the width of the lot. And I just was going from
The
you know,
width of the lot had nothing to do with what we were looking at. What we look at
Right.
is the setback. of
placement.
each- You know, whether it was a 30 foot wide lot, it's how far it was from the side lot lines. And it requires to be 10 foot according to the code.
right, so this show, and I'm not disputing it, I'm
Yes.
just, this shows 10 foot on the north side.
Right.
And then on the south side, it shows 7 foot,
Right.
and if the building is 30 foot wide,
I was doing the same thing.
doesn't that come up with
I was-
47?
But he do this, the 7 and 10 are to the overhang.
Cause there's nothing else here that gives me, nothing else that shows the width of the line. Yes, it shows the distance from the front of the building to Sunset Drive, but again, it doesn't show the width. And I'm not saying it should,
Okay,
but
the width-
you'd think you could ascertain these things from
From
looking at
from the
these.
survey map, the width is 49.46 feet. This is the survey map, so it's not exactly conforming.
That's all I was trying to come up with, yeah.
It should be
You'd think
50
it would
feet.
be. You pay the money to
That's
get
pretty-
something,
I was,
But it's pretty
You know-
That was
existing,
pre-existing,
so pre-existing,
Yeah.
so. it's
Okay.
nothing but lot.
all right?
I got it.
Okay.
So the front's probably
So-
about 49 something also.
It's actually 50.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So it comes down a little bit? Okay,
Eight extra.
okay.
It goes
Yeah.
50.
I was just trying to
Yep,
help
it
myself
shows it- you
read
should-
this darn
Survey
thing.
map shows it 50 at the east end.
Okay, well, this doesn't, and then we didn't get it, and I was just, like I said, I was just trying to,
Because we're talking
Help
about the
myself
placement
understand
of the building, we're
Yeah.
not talking about creating the lot.
and then
Okay.
probably the rear of the building is, again, I'm trying to understand, it's about 455 feet to the road? Would
It's
that
a
be
very
about
deep
right?
rat, yeah, it's a
Okay.
very,
It's a deep
The
lot.
it's
PL
700
power
700
line. Okay,
773 feet deep is the lot according to survey.
okay, I
So it
thought
goes
that
way
was from
back.
Sunset to the front of the building, but it's the total,
Goes way back west to County Road 36.
So this is zoomed in.
Yeah, right.
This is not that whole lot that's
It doesn't
displayed
show
on
the
here.
full lot.
This
Okay,
is not
yeah.
showing this full lot.
Yeah, well,
It's zoomed in.
yeah, but again, I'm just trying to get in my mind, how far back are we from the road? And this,
Which road?
Hundreds
that's the
of feet,
number.
And he's plenty,
hundreds of
he's
feet.
plenty back.
Oh, I know it, I'm just,
Behind it and the
I'm
front.
just
Okay.
trying to
All right.
help me
So-
understand this, that's all
Okay,
I'm trying to
Steve.
do, not disputing
What else,
anything.
what else do we have about this?
It's a learning experience too,
I
okay?
don't
The,
see any easements for water or sewer on here. I understand the building's not getting utilities, but the code does require that they're on.
yeah, that's right. Okay, so. Jim. So the site plan needs to show the water and sewer easements.
And are there any existing wells or anything on the property, or you're hooked up to the?
Okay. So we need easements. And doesn't show any utility poles or anything. Are there none on the property?
The cottage doesn't have electricity? Yeah.
Because the pole's not on our property though.
Okay, poles not on your property.
Right, it's not wired.
Yeah.
And any drainage issues would be addressed by the code enforcement.
Well, we want to talk about what is the drainage situation. It's a big deal, obviously, anywhere. We're going to put up a large barn. So, Mr. Patchen, would you describe what the stormwater management plan is?
Well, it's gonna be downspouts, obviously, they go towards the east side, which would go towards the lakeside, obviously, go down. We have this property. And Ted actually has some pictures, I emailed them, our property out the back there is like a 2 foot drop from the adjoining properties. So, like Jerry Young's problems having with his neighbors, we don't have that, we're actually in the valley of our neighbors. I did. Well, it's had,
Joe Miller?
no, it's Joel.
Oh, Bill Grove.
Yeah, he has the elevations on there, but I had done a couple of string lines from each property on each side, we're down 22 inches from both sides. But that didn't include the sag of the line, so I think we're too deep. So. And obviously we'll put downspouts going down, we're gonna actually do ground meters going to the ground with perforated pipe, just typical things, so. We don't have any erosion problems, the perk is real good there.
So the downspout is going to empty onto the surface of the lot. Is that correct?
Actually, it's gonna go down into, and it's gonna come down towards where it's flat.
It's going onto the surface of land,
Yeah.
nothing, it's not gonna be diverted underground, okay?
Yeah, I've always taken it to perforated pipe with a sock on there, that begins the leaching process.
Okay, and we can see from the contour lines that that is a slight downhill towards the east. What I don't understand here, though, is on the site plan, he shows the dimensions in the depression, but he doesn't show on the outside of the depression, so I don't know how far this depression is. You know, I can't tell from this, it looks like there's a slight depression,
Yeah.
but that, to me, that should be on there. Unless everybody else understands it. See what I'm talking about?
No.
In the contour lines here, in this area that he's talking about, where the water's going to go from the side into that. He shows the contour in the center of it, but he doesn't show on the edges.
Well, that's kind of
That's,
the jagged,
Is that just a continuation?
this is like. The contour would be. That, the area. So the way the contours are written, it shows it sloping in like that.
So when it says in the center there, those numbers, 820, 819.
Right, so follow
That's
those
in-
lines out.
Yes,
So if you have, say, 819 and 820 in between there. Follow that empty space out to the property line. So you kind of see how it's a swale.
Just when the line jaggeds and it goes upward,
Yeah,
it's a higher elevation, at a higher point.
okay,
It's lower. and-
Yeah.
All right. all right. I didn't know how to read that.
Yep.
So it does show that there's, and again, didn't show up too well in the black and whites, but you can see there is a depression. So that's where the downspouts are going to come onto the surface. I discussed this,
Are you gonna bury them or are you?
no, he's not gonna bury them. He's
Well,
gonna
we'll
just,
tear them down where the sides of the barns are, so they're not just sitting on the surface, and that's where I would put a perforated pipe inside. And then they bend out, and they actually have these, what are these things called, or they're actually, they exit out, they're on a pitch, they're on an angle, so you can mow, and there's a grading on it, so critters don't go up inside it. To pour it, everything's orange.
How long
Okay.
is the perforated pipe gonna be?
At that point, that's gonna be, well, this pipe is actually a good question. That's gonna go. Good answer, because we did out to, close to where the shed is, probably a good, map or so,
Oh, wow.
because. It dips down after the barn pretty good, and I wanted to. Last thing I want is a lot of water when in the backyard, just play with the ball and stuff. So let the ground leach hit through the perforated pipe to the side. There's a lot of sediment on the pipe. So,
so you're just gonna put a piece of perforated pipe from the end of the downspout just straight down into the ground
yeah, we'll have a solid.
and not any gravel around it or anything.
Well,
Gonna
no,
go out
he's gonna run,
horizontally.
he's gonna run it for 30 feet. The perforated pipe is gonna come out
Underground for 30 feet.
like this for 30 feet. From
Okay.
the corners.
Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Does this answer any of those questions?
No, that
or
goes to
what
Mr. Young.
exactly-
That goes with Jerry Young's application. That's not the same. That's not.
Okay.
I don't think any of us know how to read that.
I took it all out.
I don't know how to
of
read
Staples.
that anyway, so.
I know it, that's what I was wondering,
No.
and what does it tell me?
No,
It's,
But
I took it
Ted,
out of the Staples here.
okay, yes,
I think in the past, the code enforcement
Yep.
officer is also responsible for making sure that stormwater.
I was going to mention that.
Okay.
I was gonna mention that, Jody has spoken with Joe Miller, I've spoken with Joe, and Joe approves this plan for stormwater management. So again, we take his approval as it's okay, and you're right, he is ultimately responsible if there's any issues with surface water, stormwater. It's up to him to take corrective action. But I just was trying to get some discussion, just so I could understand in my mind exactly what we're doing here. And then, yes, Joe has approved it, so we can accept that approval for the stormwater management. And so when we get to the seeker as well, that answers that question. Anything else? Go ahead,
And
Steve.
then the reason for the site plan per se is because it requires a variance for the side setback and the size of the building.
It's in the Honeoye Lake Shore District, any new construction over 800
800.
square feet, 50 square feet requires a site
I
plan,
think it was 800.
whether it needs a variance or not.
Okay, so it was just the size
If
of the
they had
building.
just had to go, if it was somewhere else, in rural.
Yeah,
But they
okay.
had a setback, they would just go
Okay.
to this zoning.
Okay, so it's just for the size of the building.
Just for the size of
That's
the
the only
building, that's
warrant,
why
right.
we have to do a site
Got it.
plan review, yes. Okay. And I drove down there and looked and looked. Kind of, there's a lot of buildings here as well, so I looked at the lot coverage and we're nowhere near maximum lot coverage. Because the lot is so large,
Right.
it's not a lot coverage issue.
Should be hidden back there
So,
quite well. shouldn't it?
Yeah, because in the photo I
Yeah.
gave you, or he
Right.
gave us, it's behind
Yeah,
this shed. So it's quite a ways back.
I like yours better, it's colored.
So, all we've identified is that the site plan needs to show the easements for both water and electric. Other than that, any other issues or questions about the site plan
Do
or
you-
the plan for
Do you
project.
want him to detail anything more about those perforated pipes, or that's really outside the scope?
I would think that's outside the scope, if Joe
Yeah.
has looked at it and approved. Okay,
You like, you said water, not sure if you want the sewage on there too. Okay.
yes, water, electric and sewers.
Any easements? I assume there's also an easement on Sunset Drive that runs through the middle of your property. There's gotta be a ingress, egress, any.
Oh, yeah,
easements?
that's right. It's gotta be the road also, right? And he had put those on, because we asked on the Young application, we had asked the same things. And Bill Grove put them on. Okay, so. At this point, the next step in the process would be to grant preliminary approval. And after that, we'll go into the seeker review. Are there any other questions or discussions about the plan?
I'll make a motion, we grant preliminary approval.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay. But we have to somehow document what needs to be
Oh,
done,
I'm sorry, preliminary approval subject to
subject to,
easements being drawn on the final plan.
Okay. all right. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, so that's pretty much, what we've identified. But basically, we're giving approval to the plan. So the next thing is the seeker. Environmental quality review form. So hopefully everyone has read over part one, and do we have any questions on part one?
Sorry, Steve. I just automatically looked at Steve.
Yeah.
I just got one.
Steve, what do you?
Is
You're
everyone
our seeker
okay?
guy, what's it?
Are we all okay with calling on number 14, identify typical habitat? Is it really forest or? Would it rather be early, mid-successional?
Looks like forest from the trees.
Yeah, you look at the size of
Okay.
the trees,
Okay, I just ask it.
it's a subjective.
My
thing.
mind, yeah, I equate forest to, yeah. It's
So are we
with me.
okay?
So in light of that,
Yeah,
should we also check the box in for number 5, the forest? Or would that not really be,
check all land
Generic.
uses that occur on or are adjoining. We should,
that's all.
Right.
And I'm not saying we should, I'm just asking a question.
we should be consistent. So what I'll do is I'll have you check it and initial it to show that when we get done here, show that you approve that change to your application. Okay. We've talked about the stormwater management, so that's that question in there. And you see on 17, I had him change it and put his initials there. So he originally said it was not. And I said, yes, it is. And so he already changed that one. And we've addressed it now with the site plan. Okay. So what we do now is we go to part 2 of this, and based on the answers that were given in part 1, we as a board have to determine if these questions, each one of them, if the answer is no, or none, or small impact, or moderate to large impact. So you need to read down through these questions and check those off. Somebody like to read those?
I'll read them.
All right, thanks, Birch.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in the change in the use and intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunity? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in adverse change to natural resources, e.g. water, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No.
All right, so all of those are no, so we're saying none of what's planned is gonna have an impact on the, a negative impact on the environment. Or an impact. So part 3 is where we have to make by motion a declaration of the significance. Environmental significance of this. We can by motion say this will have no negative impact in the environment, or it will have a negative impact. So I have a motion for one of those.
I'll make a motion that there's no negative impact.
I second that.
Second that, Rich. Any other discussion on it? Just another comment. I did run this property through the EAF mapper that's put out by the DEC and nothing popped up on that. So okay on that. So by vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that's. All right, so at this point, we need to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to
Like
close the
motion?
public hearing.
I'll second it. Thank you. Dwight, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Here. Okay, so what we have is we've identified just a couple of things that need to be added to the site plan map. At this point, the code allows us to grant final approval conditioned upon submitting a corrected site plan map to me without having to come back. So that's by the code. So if you'd like to do that, someone make a motion that we grant final approval on the condition of the final site plan map to be submitted with the mentioned correct additions. Did you say yes?
I'd like to do that.
Steve, is there a second?
I'll second.
Dwight, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? So when you can, there's no timeline on this. And you can have Bill deliver it or whatever you want, like you've done before. Get that map. We need 2 copies. One for me and one for planning board and one for the code enforcement office. And when we get that, I will sign it as having been approved on the date that I receive it. And then you can go to the building department to get a building permits.
And then. Well, email, I have to bring 2 copies in. Correct?
They have to be color copies with those additions, just like this with, the colors, etc.
Will you attempt
You
to
can-
start this
you
in
can
this
dri-
weather? Will you attempt to start this in this weather, or will you wait till something better?
I'm a carpenter, so I.
Yeah. Just curious. Yeah,
So,
just curious.
so again, Jody, you can, if you happen to bring them and no one's here, there's a drop box right outside the door. Or if the town hall is open, you could drop them to town clerk Eileen and she'll get them to me. Okay, do you have any other questions for us? Did you bring your sign back? Not tonight. Drop it off some others, because we're gonna be gone in a few minutes. Just drop it back off here at some point in time, because we do reuse those signs.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
and thanks for showing up. You're welcome. Okay, second privilege of the floor. I have a question. I've been forwarding the notices for the New York Planning Federation training. Do any of you get them
Yeah.
directly?
Get them
No.
directly.
I do.
I get them direct.
I get them direct too, but I get yours then. I get yours.
Well, I was saying, if you get them directly, I don't have to forward them to you.
I think if you've taken a training with them, you get them directly, but if you have not,
Okay,
which,
Rich probably.
And I'm getting, I would have taken advantage of this one Wednesday. Last Wednesday, but I couldn't get to
It's
some.
only January, we got.
Yeah,
we got,
I'm
and
getting
if you
your
had,
emails.
and if you had more than 4 hours last year,
I
you can
did.
carry over up to 2 for this year.
I didn't even think I'd be
White's
here
got
right
3
now.
already.
Okay.
I got.
Okay, anything
What's
else
it
for privilege of the
supposed to-
floor?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second it.
second, White, all in favor? Aye, opposed. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for going through all those applications with us. Thanks for sitting in, Chris.
Can I get make a